Hello, everybody. So, welcome back. So, we were discussing in the last class about the difference between rotation and revolution. So, rotation is something where things will rotate in itself, and revolution is where things revolve around something. So, that is why when Earth's rotation means it is rotating in itself, and Earth's revolution means it is revolving around the sun. So, shape of the Earth's orbit is circular, and increasing order of the size of the planets. So we have Mercury. First we have Mercury, then we have Mars, then we have Venus, then we have Earth, then we have Neptune, then we have Uranus, then we have Saturn, and at last we have Jupiter. So the shortcut you can remember like m square v e n u s j. And next is increasing order of the density of the planets. Here we have Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Earth. So you can remember like SUT, NM, VME. So highest in density is Earth, and lowest in density is Saturn. Whereas biggest planet is Jupiter and smallest planet is Mercury. Fine. Next, we were studying about terrestrial and Jovian planets. So, terrestrial planets are the planets which are very near to the Sun. Like we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And Jovian planets are some planets which are very far, not very, but they are, of course, far away from the Sun. Like the next four is the Jovian planets, and the first four is the terrestrial planet. Next, we were discussing about internal structure of the Earth. So we will be continuing today internal structure of the Earth in detail. So as you can see in the picture, the from the left side, if you see, the first part is crust, the second part is mantle, the third part is outer core, and the fourth part is inner core. We will be studying in details now regarding this. So first we have crust. So crust is the outermost layer of the earth. So actually the radius of the earth we have is 6370 kilometers, and earth can be measured in two ways, like directly or indirectly. Directly means we can measure it through the volcanoes or by doing mining or deep oceanic drilling meteoroids measurements. This is the direct way. Indirect way we have is earthquake depth, magnetic material study. So a sector from earth, to describe internal structure of the earth, we have three layers: crust, mantle, and core. So now we will be seeing in detail about these things. So first we'll study about the core. So the entire crust present in two different layers. Top layer is called as Felkic and down layer is called as Mapic. So there are two layers of the crust. The first one is uh, Felkic and the second one is Mapic. And there is no exact division between the two layers. There is no exact division between these two layers. The division varies depending on the location. Length of the crust in continents is 30 to 40 kilometers, and from the ocean is 5 to 10 kilometers. The density of the crust is 2.7 to 3.0 gram per. In mountains, the depth varies. It may go up to 70 kilometers in crust. So continents composed of silica and alumina. Ocean are composed of silica and magnesium. Continents are more granitic in nature, and oceans are more basaltic. Basaltic means very, basaltic in nature. They're very easy, like water, no? So it's a very basaltic. But granitic means it is very hard. The continents are very, very hard, like granites. So oceans have more denser than continents. As they're basaltic, the density in the oceans is more than the continents. So this was all about the like crust. So inner core we have barysphere, mesosphere, and lithosphere. In outer zone we have hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. And we are in biosphere because we are the living beings. Next we'll talk about the mantle. So the length of the mantle is 2,900 kilometers. The uppermost layer of the uppermost layer of the mantle, which is 400 kilometer, is composed of mainly a semi-solid that is having more viscous in nature, and the layer is called asthenosphere. So the layer of the mantle which is very viscous is called as asthenosphere. In 400 kilometer of asthenosphere, the top 200 kilometer and crust is lithosphere. We will having a crust also, that is lithosphere, and the 400 kilometer in mantle we will have a small 200 kilometer will be the, actually it is 400 kilometer, and that 200 kilometer will have asthenosphere, and the remaining 200 is of lithosphere. In mantle we have 200 kilometer part of crust also. So density of rocks of mantle is 3.4 kilometer centimeter per cube. Sorry, gram per centimeter cube. So the mantle mainly consists of oxides and silicates. And again we will. So I hope mantle is clear. Next, it is core. We'll study about the core. So core is again divided into two parts. It is outer core and inner core. So the length of the core is 3,500 kilometer. In that, outer core is 1,250 kilometer, and the inner core is 2,250 kilometer. Density of the core is 13 grams per centimeter cube. And we found minerals, nickel and ferrous over here. Next we will be studying about. So due to the eruption of lava or magma during the times of volcanoes, this magma or lava gets dried after some times and become solidified. So this solidified part will form as a primary rocks, and upon this primary rocks some environmental factors starts acting, such as sunlight, where we can see high temperature. Next is when this sunlight occurs, the rocks expands, and low temperature during night time makes the rock more contract. So during the daytime when the sunlight is high, they get expands, and at the night time the it got low. As the temperature will be low at the night time, they will got contract. So whenever heavy winds or rains act on the rocks, they will become more weaker, and this weakness make the rock to break into pieces and are called as sedimentary rocks. So primary rock we have seen, when the lava get dried, it become primary rocks, and when because of sunlight it got expand, and because of night low temperature it got contract. That time we will be calling this as sedimentary rock. Next is the sedimentary rocks. After long time, 100 to 1000 of years, deep into the other gets buried deep into the other, and due to the excessive temperature and pressure on them, makes them to melt and becomes lava once again. So this is a whole cycle. When the lava take place, there is a formation of primary rocks, and because of the high temperature of sunlight and low temperature at night, it got contracts, that is sedimentary rocks. And again, 100 to 1000 years ago, it got buried deep into the layer of the earth, and again there will be a formation of lava, and this cycle the volcano takes place. So the same lava or magma comes out again in the form of volcanic eruption, and the cycle continues. The third category rocks are metamorphic rocks or tertiary rocks. So in the third way of cycle, when the lava again once upon occur, that is known as metamorphic rocks or tertiary rocks. So I hope volcanic eruption is clear. Three rocks will be forming: primary, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Now next we will focus on how the things takes place in volcanoes. So volcanoes are nothing but ejection. Volcano nothing but ejection. Ejection means releasing of magma which is present inside the earth to outside. It will release that magma to outside in the form of volcano eruption. So this magma while coming out, they will come with the help of a pipe-like structure. Such a type is called a central type. So if the magma is coming out from the earth's surface with a small division on the surface of the earth, this small division will be in the form of a linear fracture. A linear fracture. The magma that is coming out in the methods forms a horizontal layer. A horizontal layer, it will form like this flat horizontal layer structure, like which is long term appears to form as plateau. So that is what we call this as the horizontal form as plateau. So whenever the magma is coming out in a linear structure in the horizontal layer, that forms the plateau. So if the volcano is coming out again and again in a frequent phases, then it is called as active volcano. If the volcano has crossed the usual mean time and there is no volcano even after lapse of regular time, it is called as extinct volcano. When the volcano has crossed the usual mean time and even then there is no taken place of volcano, that is called as extinct volcano. Means the volcano has been extincted, finished, no more volcano. So this is believed to be death. So depending on the material and its mineral composition, volcanoes are classified into three types. The first is acidic type and basic type. So in acidic type, there will be more silica, less iron and magnesium. And this type of volcano has more viscous and hence form conolean hill-shaped structure. Whereas in basic type, it contains less silica, more iron and magnesium. So it is less viscous. Means viscous means less sticky. Viscous means sticky actually. Less viscous means less sticky. In acidic type it is more sticky and in basic type it is less sticky. And the shape appears to be like a dome or shield shape like this. So lava that is released outside and forms different structure outside, these are called as extrusive landforms. So whatever landforms we observe, these are formed by lava only. So sometimes due to some internal changes or toughness, the lava will not come out and gets deposited inside the earth itself. Such deposition inside the earth will form different internal structures and are called as intrusive landforms. So whenever lava comes and comes up with different structures of landform, that are called as extrusive landforms. But some landforms which are getting deposited into the earth, those are called as intrusive landforms. So now we will discuss how the earthquake will take place. So there are some like indirect source to know about the interior of the earth. As I told you earlier, earthquake is also one of them, to study the internal structure of the earth. So in the nature, such each and every object, whenever they are stressed, they will bear up to certain limits, and beyond the limits the object starts releasing the stress that has accumulated. Let's suppose we as a human being, when we are unable to bear something, we will start crying. Similarly the earth also, the earth parts also. So here in the earth surface we'll be finding many differences, many internal changes. So what happened means as I told, like as we human being also, when it is out of our patience to bear something, it will be released, the stress will be released when we cry or when we start shouting on others. At that time the stress will come up. Similarly for the earths also, till where it can bear, it will bear. And once the patience of the earth is no the bearing limit is finished, khatam, then the earthquake will occur. So why things will happen, this means the same works with the earthquake, that is rocks will have certain rupture, which means they will continue to bend rather than breaking. They will continue to bend rather than breaking, so long as stress imposed does not exceed the rupture stress. But once when the stress is greater than bearing capacity of the rocks, then suddenly they start moving up, and the accumulated stress is released in the form of seismic waves. So the place where earthquake starts originating inside the earth is called as hypocenter or focus. So the vertical face of the focus of the earth's surface is called as epicenter. So the vertical trace of the focus of the earth is called epicenter. The maximum damage is caused not at the epicenter but around the epicenter. So whenever the rocks got so much of stress, and when it starts moving, that time the earthquake will come. That is the situation during that time is called as seismic waves. Whatever the sensation, what the movement we feel now, that sometimes some that earth has helium move over, all those things, that is nothing but the seismic waves. And the vertical, the vertical part of this earth is of the seismic waves is called as epicenter. But the maximum damage is not happen where this rock has moved or come up. It will be around it. The maximum damage will be around the epicenter, but not at the epicenter. This was all about the earthquake. So these all comes under earth crust, this earthquake and volcanic eruption. So next we have movement of the earth crust. So here is a theory like continental drift. The very slow movement of continents over the earth's surface is known as continental drift. So this theory was explained or focused by Alfred Wegener. So he found evidence for Pangea and proposed the theory of continental drift. So now we will study about this continental drift. So first, so in the past, entire world is located as one single land masses. It was assumed that everything is one single masses. Our whole world is observed. It is called as Pangea, and it is surrounded by the water, which is called as Panthalassa. So the water part you can see, that is nothing but the Panthalassa, and the green color part is Pangea. This is the whole world it has been observed. Suddenly the Pangea broke into two pieces. The Pangea got broke into two pieces. So you can see here the ocean Panthalassa. So the whole world was assumed into two parts. One is Panthalassa full of water, and one is Pangea. Pangea was the whole part, like whole the landmass. And after the breaking of these two pieces, the northern part is called as Laurasia and the southern part is called as Gondwana land. So in between, the water formed is called as Tethya Sea. In between Laurasia and Gondwana there was a sea observed, that is called Tethya Sea. So uh, Gondwana consists of South America, Africa, India and Australia. Due to internal changes in the earth, the Indian plate started moving away from Australia and come towards European plates. So so earlier India was near the Australia, but due to some internal changes, the Indian plate started moving towards the European plates. So when Indian plate collide with the European plate, after collision, the northernmost part of the India got folded like this. It got folded. So this is European plate and this is Indian plates. They got collided, dash, and because of this there was a folded. So folded and hence formed, this fold is nothing but the folded mountains. So India started moving around 7 million years ago. Some earlier time it has moved around and it collided to European plates, and folded mountain was formed in the northern part of the India. So every time mountains are under a kind of stress and will be growing regularly, and hence they are called as young fold mountains. So we have three kinds of mountains like fold mountains, block mountains, and volcanic mountains. So fold mountains are of two types. It is young fold mountains which are still in an evolving stage. Next we have old fold mountains, means these mountains have stops evolving. That is Aravalli mountains in India, we can see those mountains have stopped evolving. They are stable now. Next we have block mountains. So due to the changes inside the earth, some regions of the earth will undergo deep buried phenomenon. The other parts of the earth are surroundings of the buried parts, seems like a big mountain like structure. Hence they are called as block mountains. Next we have volcanic mountains. So volcanic mountains, we can see the mountains which are of volcanic origin is called as volcanic mountains. Example, barren islands. Doesn't seems like a mountain, but it is the only active volcanic. So block mountains, you can see like Narmada, Tapi rivers in India will flow in a rift valley, which is present like Vindhyas and Saptaras mountains. Saptaras and Satpura and Vindhya mountains are the block mountains. So this was all about the continental drift, and I have given you an activity. You all explain the role of continental drift among your friends and tell me tomorrow what points have you all discussed. And you have to collect the information related to the movement of the Earth's crust and note it down in a color chart paper and show me tomorrow. And if we recapitulate today's class, what is crust? Crust is the topmost part, mantle is a middle part, and the core is the inner part. And again it has two, outer and inner. Outer deals with liquid and inner deals with solid. And who is Alfred Wegener, who has invented the theory of continental drift. You have a home assignment. Write about the reason for movements of the Earth's crust in 2 to 3 lines. So this was about today's class. Any doubts you can ask me in the next class. Thank you.